Welcome to That Show with Matt Giles. I'm your host, Wildford B. Hayes. Today we've got a taped interview with Jen Zeyl of Intiman Theater. She's the artistic director there. We had a technical snafu last Wednesday, and she helped save it and record it, and we're going to play it for you today. Everything before that is live with Mason and Joel. We'll be talking about, what's going on and hanging out, and then we'll show the interview with Jen. If you like this show, That Show, or Tim's Live, music from Tim's Tavern, or if you like anything on Bricolage Studios Twitch channel, click that follow button. Look, my goal was to get 15 people this week, and we're 10 people away. Or maybe I needed 16. Either way, we're 10 people away. If you like it, click follow. We're getting so close to the affiliate links. It'll be good. You can catch us, That Show, every day, 1 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. Tim's Live is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and Saturday, Sunday at 11:30. We got a good show tonight, so tune in at 4 as well. I think I'll just get right to Joel and Mason. It's a bit of a sad day. There's a couple things going on in the world that are, I think, bumming us out, but then there's something super fun that I'm going to share with them, at least that I'm excited about. Hey guys, what's up?
Hi.
What's up?
So the sad thing is John Prine, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
everybody's
Lost
bummed about
poet.
him. Yeah.
It's amazing to me, like how many people on my Facebook world. There's a few surprises that I got from people posting their little John Prine stories. There was a few people in there that I was like, oh wait, I had no idea that you would be interested in John Prine. It just shows how far and wide his touch was. I've always regarded him as like a very sort of specific genre that had some crossover, but turns out no, he was loved far and wide.
I agree.
Yeah. Mason, you have a much more, I don't know, since you actually play music and tour and even have like a, I don't know, almost similar aesthetic. I mean,
Well, that's nice to say. I don't know. I'm bummed out. John Prine. I think everybody loved John Prine.
Yeah.
Everybody has a favorite John Prine song, even if it's just one song. There's people that like really, but everybody has at least one song that they love. That's just sad, especially since he survived cancer twice, and like, I don't know.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And my favorite, I don't have a favorite song. Well, I have lots of like songs that I like his, but my favorite thing was that duets album where it's all body love songs about I'm leaving my wife and I'm gonna run away with my mistress. They were just like all the. I read an interview with him or listened to an interview with him about how he wanted to do that album for years and years and years and years, but never had the guts to ask any women to sing it with him. And because he just thought they would all laugh at him, and he finally started like asking around, and like Iris and Melissa and all those people were like, "Well, hell yeah, let's do it!" They were all super excited. He was just like, "Oh, okay, let's put this album out." He had no idea that women would be into doing it with him, and then it turned out to be like just a great story. The whole album is like this cool story. It's fun. I love it.
Nice. Mason, do you ever play any John Prine songs?
I mean, yeah, with just for myself. I don't think I've ever played one in front of people.
Oh, yeah. If you guys have a couple minutes, you know who else like John Prine is Matt Giles, the namesake of our show, and I think he's still coming in for an interview on Friday. Again, I still have to confirm the time with him, but he posted something to Facebook that I wanted to share with everybody that is, kind of a touching tribute with his dad and him playing a song.
Hi there.
Oh, I'm good at the technology.
Hi there. It's a little late here on the East Coast, but we were hanging
This was
out
last
and we
night.
heard that John Prine passed, which is hard for everybody, but it's hard for us and my dad and all of his siblings. It was one of their favorite artists, so we decided we would sit down here and do a brief little tribute. that's the way that the world goes around. So, ready? Yep. Here we go. Ready, and... I know a guy who's got a lot to lose. He's a pretty nice skeleton. He's kind of confused. He's got muscles in his head and never been used. Thinks he owns half of this town. He starts drinking heavy, gets a big red nose, and beats his old lady with a rubber hose, and takes her out to dinner, buys her new clothes. That's the way that the world goes round. And that's the way that the world goes round. You're up 1 minute, the next you're down. It's a half an inch of water and you think you're gonna drown. That's the way that the world goes round. I was sitting in the bathtub, counting my toes, when the radio broke. Water off rose, I was stuck in the ice, without any clothes, naked as the eyes of a clown.
That's why I apologize to Matt and everybody else, because he's got a little bit more talent than I do.
He does.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
He's practiced.
Matt's got lots of surprises. I didn't really know him that well, so I just knew him from work a little bit. So
Yeah, he's great. Quite musical, and acting and directing and producing. He wears a lot of hats. The other thing that I'm kind of bummed about is Bernie Sanders dropping out. I mean, it was inevitable. It was time, but I would like to see that guy go further.
Yeah. I mean, it's the, I'm not going to be like the conspiracy theorist, but the system is rigged. So against, I mean, and I don't know that it's rigged in a global conspiracy kind of way, but it is definitely, take the electoral college thing out of it, that argument out of it. The DNC, for whatever reasons, whether they're good or bad, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not good. They back the people that they think is going to have the best chance to win. And in this case, I think they were probably wrong. And that's also not necessarily in the best interest of the country, what the country needs. Sometimes they do good. Sometimes, I think in the last couple, they've shown that they're a little myopic, or a lot myopic. And I think that because of the pressure that they put on the people dropping out early on, and getting those former candidates to back Biden, it changed the tone. And I don't think that I don't think it's as big of a deal as back in the 2016 one, where there was a lot more what seemed, if you believe all the stories, a bit more effort put into it to back Clinton.
Oh yeah, to keep Bernie out.
And a lot shadier version of it. This was just merely them vocally saying, "We want you to back Biden." And they weren't very sneaky about it. It wasn't underhanded. It was just that they wanted Biden to win.
Yeah. And I think Biden's winning legitimately. I just
for sure. It's it's just the way our system is. And I don't think the conversation was really well balanced. I think we should have heard more from them, and that is before COVID. We should have heard a more fair and balanced debate system with those guys way early on, before the primaries kind of thing, but we still had too many candidates in the pool. So I don't know, our system needs to go to a popular vote, and I think that's the only way we're going to fix this mess.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
All right.
I saw it wasn't The Onion, but one of those parody news place, and the headline was, "Sanders hasn't sexually assaulted enough women to win presidential race."
I saw that too. I thought I laugh now and I laugh then, and I feel kind of bad about it. It's not funny at all. It's not funny at all.
What the hell?
It's so funny. It's so depressing. It is one of the most atrocious statements ever, and it's sadly true. Maybe not really, but it is sadly true.
Well, no, that's a good thing if you don't sexually.
No, for sure.
That part's good.
No, right. That part's good. I mean, the statement is sad.
No, I hear you.
Super sad. Yeah.
Mason, can we talk a little bit about what you did yesterday?
Yeah, we
Uh,
went to Seattle, boarded up the bar,
yeah. Can I show a
put boards
picture?
on the window to discourage any kind of vandalism. There's been some break-ins at places, I guess, and vandals. So, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty stark with the blonde wood and the
Yeah.
black
Yeah, your
header, man.
theme
This
is
looks
all
like
black, so it's fun to see.
yeah,
They're
A little
going.
color.
Somebody's gonna paint. The girls are already on it. They're gonna go down and paint a mural or something on it.
that's
But
Oh,
cool.
that's fun.
Coming soon. Yeah,
yeah, it's a bummer, man. I mean, I posted it online, and everyone was like, oh, they're freaking out. They, for some reason, people think boarded up windows means you're closing down, but it really just means we're, protecting
Yeah.
the place from people throwing rocks through windows and shit.
Yeah, or
yeah. We're
breaking
trying
in
to
and
steal booze or
stealing your
whatever.
booze, right?
Yeah,
You got a lot of
Yeah,
equipment and a lot of
it's
money
not
in
a
there.
sign that we're going anywhere, but I mean, I can't guarantee that we're not going anywhere either. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We're just trying our
right.
best to keep, we do the live stream and keep that going, and I don't know. We'll work with it as much as we can. We were talking before the show that even when they bring it all back to normal, what they call normal, restaurants are still going to be required to keep people a certain distance away from each other, and until there's a treatment or a vaccine, right? So I don't really see how any Seattle restaurant can stay in business without tripling their prices at the current
Right.
rates and
Yeah.
stuff. How much it costs to run? I mean, restaurants don't make much money anyway. They're lucky if you own a restaurant and
Slim.
you're lucky to take home 10%. You're lucky if you take home 5% of bringing in a month what you generate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
10% would be unheard of these days, I think. But yeah, the margins are so
And
slim.
then and then to say like, okay, well, you can usually fit 100 people in your dining room, but now under the new guidelines, you can only fit 20 people in your dining room.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's just it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Definitely a price
So I don't know
increase.
what's going to happen. I mean, I don't want to live in a place where you can't go out to eat and can't go out to bars, and
No.
it just sounds like shit to me.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's gonna be weird. I don't. I was talking about this with somebody else yesterday too. The 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 stepping stone system is going to be really interesting on how it plays out.
You mean like
What you're
rolling
talking
back
about
into
it,
normal life?
yeah,
Yeah.
and like Mason, you're right. Like what you're talking about is not sustainable. Like we're going to have to get back to some sort of more normalcy, whether that's scientifically with the help of uh, better drugs or whatever. Uh, there's no way businesses will survive at that kind of system. It's going to be so hard, you know. And I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah, not
people
unless
will.
they like lower all the other expenses.
Yeah, I mean, like people are already like, not behaving the way they should be, right? We were just talking about it before the show about like how many people are at Home Depot and how many people are at stores and not maintaining distances between
Yeah.
yourselves as you walk down the aisles and stuff like that, like or out in the parking
That
lot.
was the most disappointing thing yesterday was just all the. I mean, and I didn't. I mean, I saw people. Some people were wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
More than half of the people I saw were wearing masks. Typically, it looked like the people that were older were wearing masks
Hmm.
rather than the people that are
Mm-hmm.
younger, which should be the opposite. But whatever.
Right.
Everybody should be wearing one. And
Right.
then, there was just a lot of people who weren't staying the fuck home. They were just going to Home Depot and I mean, I get it. You got a lot of things on your list to do. And I mean, I was at Home Depot too, but I mean, I feel like boarding up Tim's was essential business. And before that, I hadn't left the house in 3 weeks, over
Yeah.
3 weeks. And
Mm-hmm.
now we don't plan on leaving until, I mean, the next lift is supposed to be May 4th, but I don't know. We'll see if that's even. But I don't know.
Yeah,
We're
it's
locked
not.
down. We're locked down here till we don't have to leave until we never have to leave actually. And I don't plan on going anywhere until it's safe out there because the anxiety of just going like because I had to do some business. The jukebox guy had to come and the guy that has the ATM and they wanted to get their cash out of the machines and so
Mm-hmm.
and the mailman came and so I had interactions with people. I mean, I wasn't close to them, but we were inside Tim's and sharing the same air, and I don't know anything. I don't know if that's
Right. Yeah.
necessarily safe or whatever. But just my point is just being in public, just the anxiety of like I don't want to get sick or I don't want to catch this fucking disease, this virus. That's enough to make me want to stay home. I mean, I didn't like this, just the stress of standing on the sidewalk. Oh, here comes a guy on a bike. I got to get out of his way.
Yeah.
Right.
Make sure I hold my breath so I don't breathe in his sweaty bike breath. I walked past the same place that he just rode by. I don't know. I don't know. I know. I had a friend. I have a friend where him and his wife. She has a pre-existing condition, and I mean, even 2 weeks before any of us were even being careful, they were being super fucking careful, and they were isolating and doing the whole thing. And sure enough, a few days ago, she got it, and he goes, and he's online saying, if you think that you're safe, he goes, we did everything that we were supposed to do, and we still caught this shit. So
Wow, that's a bummer.
I don't know.
It's a bummer. Yeah.
So now we're gonna stay home. Now I'm gonna stay home for 14 days, or and well, I'm gonna stay home for longer than that. But I got to sit here for 14 days and wait and see if any of us are gonna get sick. And then once you're not sick, then
Yeah.
eventually people will form isolation pods. Where you're like, I'm negative, and my friends are negative. Okay, you can come over to the house today.
Yeah. Yeah. Olivier was talking about that yesterday. He was our guest from Wim Wim, and they're planning to film some dance that they come up with and then post that online. And they were going to do that. They were going to form an isolation pod for the dancers so they could stay isolated and safe while they work on this. Yeah.
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 All you got to do is just stay home and not go anywhere and not have any outside contact for 2 weeks. And then once you don't get sick, then you're cool. Like, as long as you're hanging out with somebody else that you trust that stayed home for 2 weeks and isn't sick,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But really, in reality, they have to have a test. They got to get a test because
Universal testing is the only way that we're going to get through this with any sanity.
well,
like
they're also estimating that a whole chunk of people get sick, get the virus and don't even show symptoms.
Right. So if you don't get a handle on that, it's just going to be a repeating cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just there's no way.
We're gonna have
I posted a thing.
No virus, and we're gonna have to hibernate every year for 9 fucking months.
That's gonna be really sustainable.
Just every summer when it's nice.
Yeah. Right. I just posted a thing on Facebook today from a friend that shared from Medium.com. There's a Dutch research group that did a study on runners and cyclists and basically the cloud that is left behind them or through them as they're exercising and running past you or running past each other or in a group or whatever.
I read this.
It's far bigger than the 2-meter distance that is the standard for people just walking down the street or standing in the aisle of a store because of the extra energy put into what you're doing. It's like it spreads much farther. So the idea, the idea is stay inside, get trainers, get a treadmill.
Yeah.
Put your bike on trainers and spin. Don't.
Yeah, a lot of those things like Amazon and Netflix have a bunch of workout videos. YouTube, get tons of them.
Mm-hmm. There's so many of them now. So many of them.
Yoga practice back up. I just listened to it online and doing it out on the porch. Yes, sunny day.
Yeah.
But.
Hopefully, we can get Mindy on tomorrow, and she can talk about her what she referred to as structure.
Yeah,
she signed up for a Pilates class online. So stuff like that. Like everybody, we need to do it indoors. It's real simple. Yeah, it's really fucking simple. It's painful, but it's simple.
That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing on Tim's Live.
Yeah.
Hey, do you guys have cable? I don't have cable, but
sort of. Not really. Yeah.
Do you know the
We got
show Psych
internet.
about the psychic detective?
I
Yes,
remember it.
Yeah. So it's come and gone, and I think they're working on a second made-for-TV movie. But I absolutely love this show. I have the DVDs, and I watch it like every year.
On a scale of 1 to Gilmore Girls, how much do you love it?
Gilmore Girls plus 10? Yeah.
No, wow, okay.
That's a pretty high bar.
It's I get oddly sentimental about it. It reminds me of hanging out with my friend John a lot. So that's one reason I watch it a lot. And then the other is it's just kind of funny. But this won't really apply to you. But USA, the network that it was on, is doing a huge psychathon starting today after their wrestling show. And then I think it's like 48 hours of Psych. Seasons 1 and 2, back to back to back to back to back.
Can't you just watch
Well, we
it on
know where
Netflix?
Larry's going.
What's that, Mason?
Isn't it available on like Hulu or something or Netflix? Or...
It's on Amazon, I think. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and then like I said, I have my own copies. So yeah, maybe I'll watch that and come back with some Psych references.
I like it.
I don't know.
Can't
That was
wait.
the one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I can't wait.
Nice. Cool.
Like, you know, you're getting bored in isolation. Like, we're sitting at breakfast this morning, and me and my sister eating breakfast that I just cooked, and she's like, "What should we have for dinner?" And we're like, just trying to plan out our menu for dinner. We're like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We're just having breakfast.
That's awesome.
No,
It's
dinner
so
and
true,
drink.
though.
Gotta
So
do
true.
something until 3 o'clock when I can start drinking.
I have not made more food consecutive days as I have now. It's insane.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm lucky because we're all cooks, so we eat really well here.
That's good. Yeah, I do okay. Yeah. Colleen's better baker than I am, but yeah, we've been eating pretty good, which is nice.
Nice.
Well, cool. Thanks for coming today, guys. I don't have much else. I think I'm gonna play this. Oh, you know what? I didn't. I don't know how I'm gonna play it if I haven't loaded it. Let me load this video. That's hilarious.
Technology, it's real.
I just gotta, get it loaded up. Where did I even put it?
Wiley, do you want to get with me?
Do I want to what?
Whoa, where'd he go?
We're gonna do mullets this summer.
Mullets.
Mullets and handlebar mustaches. It's gonna be the style. I'm gonna do a mullet.
Well, I could do half
all
of
you
them.
gotta do is
I could do
shave
half
the
that.
sides of your head. Just shave the sides of your head and leave it long in the back.
Yeah, Lucy will join in.
I think I would look too much like Tiger King.
That's the point.
And?
I don't know.
Yep, you're in. Okay,
I might do it for one day and then try to clean it up. My problem is I don't know how to cut my hair. It's getting long, and I'm not sure.
I'll bet you could figure it out. I bet Colleen could watch a YouTube video or two.
Yeah. All right. And
She'll help. I can guarantee she'd help with this one. Yep.
Give me a mullet.
I'll pay her to help.
You'll pay.
This is like the best idea that's happened on this show in 2 weeks. I can't even grow my hair.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna go for the. I'll do the handlebar.
You got some around here, Joel. You
No.
got some. No.
You got the fryer tuck.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm not committing to it, but I'm not saying no.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes.
We'll see. You're gonna be so willing in another week. You're just gonna be like, I'll do anything.
See how cool it is. Once I do it and you see how cool it is, you're definitely gonna want to do it.
Well, we should all do it together, right? Like pick a day, just do it.
Just show up with mullets.
I think a Friday, not tomorrow, but maybe next Friday, we do it, and then I have the weekend to fix it.
It's a good a mullet is also a good apocalypse haircut. I mean, let's just be honest. It's very Mad Max thing to do to your head, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
That's a fair statement. Yeah.
You want to look the part.
Yeah, and if it doesn't turn to chaos and you're out and about, then nobody will see it for a few weeks, and it'll be fine.
Yep.
Unless you do it.
Yeah, and
show online.
everyone should have one picture of themselves with a mullet.
Oh, I've got a crazy picture of me at PCPA where I dyed it one color on this side, one color on this side, and then a different color in the middle, and have two shaved strips right here.
Mm-hmm.
It looks ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I remember that too.
Yep. I got some good. No, I think you just had like one color at Disneyland.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I think it was the pink.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Disneyland.
You know,
wow, what a great trip.
That was
a great trip.
Was...
I pulled out a whole bunch of photos. I don't know where they were hiding, but there was like a box that I found, and I just had there's a whole stack of Chupa, you, Holly, a couple of Brandons in there. Yeah, it was great.
I put that whole thing on a credit card. I don't think I paid that credit card off for like 6 years.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It was like $1,000 credit card, and I think I probably ended up paying it off paying it up 5 times over whatever I spent over the course. Whatever.
I'd say it was almost. I think I did something similar. Yeah. No, I don't remember. But it's not like any of us could actually afford that. But,
yeah.
No.
You know, we were our $200 stipend for being interns.
I was stealing saltine crackers from Wendy's and putting ketchup on top and eating that for dinner.
Yep. No.
Yeah. That was the time of the 23-cent cheeseburger or whatever at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
I lived off of those for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I did load the video. Unless you want to reminisce more about Disneyland. Just keep ruminating. Actually, one thing I was going to say, the best dyed hair I ever had was when you did it, Mason. Do you remember dyeing my hair?
No.
Oh.
When was that?
I don't know. It was PCPA sometime, and you did. It was bleached.
Did we bleach it?
Yeah, it was bleached, and then you did tips. I think you covered like a whole bunch of the tips, and then rubbed blue in underneath, and so it was like blue with white tips.
That wasn't me.
That was you, man. Yeah. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that at all.
You were high the whole night.
No, because I didn't smoke weed back then. I might have been drunk.
All right.
I didn't start smoking weed till I was like 24, 25 years old.
All right.
And I never stopped.
Yeah, it was you, me, and Karen. Karen might have helped, but I remember you having the idea of how to do something, and you're like, "I'll do it."
I can see that playing out.
Yeah. We might have used all the aluminum foil you had in your house, but it looked good.
Where were we? We're at my house?
I don't remember if it was yours or Karen. It wasn't mine. I think it might have been Karen's house.
Her Patrick's apartment, or the house that they moved into?
The 3 girls?
I don't remember.
That was at the summer. Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah, that's like across the street from Peterson's house.
Oh, yeah.
Then
Yeah, I'm not sure I remember
they moved there, and then I came up here. I actually came to Seattle that summer to do the stunt thing. That was my first time. 1998, summer of 98. No, summer of 99. Is that right?
It's pretty close. I can't remember the exact year.
That would have been the same. Yeah, that would have been the time. Yeah. Oh, Joel's getting a call.
Uh-huh.
Cool, guys. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow for Melinda Hickey, hopefully. Formerly
We're
of
gonna
the
do a
Tom
test
Douglas Group.
in
We're
a
going to do
while.
a test and
Yeah.
try and get her connected. And then
Cool.
I'm going to double check with Matt, and we'll see him on Friday. Thanks,
Aloha.
you two. Everybody else, stay tuned for a pre-recorded interview with Jen Zeyl from Intiman Theater. It'll be good. All right. Bye, everybody.
Talk to you later, guys.
See you.
Yes.
For setting this up, recording it, and doing half of my job. And most of all, thanks for appearing. It's super awesome that you're here. I think I wanted to start with Intiman is sort of a bright spot right now. You haven't had to lay anybody off, I think, and that you're continuing to produce and get ready for your season, which starts soon, right?
Well, I'll go into corrections here.
Yeah, great.
So in the fall, or sort of the end of the summer, just as we were closing Bull Rusher, we had a, I think what many people call a come to Jesus moment with our then board of directors and with staff and everything like that, and really taking a minute to sort of assess where we were and how our producing model was working. And the uptick of that was that it was not working. The fact that we haven't been producing in one specific location for the past 5 years, we've been moving from neighborhood to neighborhood and renting 8 or 9 week spots at different theaters or rehearsing somewhere else and setting up a costume shop in the dressing room and like all sorts of variations of that. We've been exploring for the past 5 years, and we've produced at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute, over at 12th Avenue Arts, at the UW School of Drama's Jones Playhouse in the U District, right. And most recently at the Erickson at Seattle Central College. And it became very, very clear this year that us moving our productions, and we're still working with all of the unions and all of the bargaining agreements that we have been in and revisited over the years, but we all of our stage crew is IATSE, all of our shops are IATSE. We work with Actors Equity, we work with SDC, we work with USA A29. So tethering that to an itinerant producing model, your costs are known, right? I can, right, within a nickel, project what I'm going to spend on labor. And I'm pretty good at materials at this point too, where it's just like, okay, that's a 3-set number and we're going to borrow some casters from Seattle Rep, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So I know what it's going to cost. What we cannot predict at this point is what we're going to be able to earn. You know what I mean? Right. Moving to a new neighborhood, every production, your local sort of marketing, it needs a different tactic in the U District. Certainly, if you're producing during the summer in the U District. Yeah. So that's all to say is that we have never had a very predictable earned revenue projection. Like we just kind of never know. And the fact that we're moving around to different neighborhoods, we're actually renting the least desirable time slots because that's what's available. Right. You know what I mean? They're just like, well, we're not idiots and we're not going to produce anything in August at the Jones Playhouse. So why don't you do it? And I'm like, so I know what it's going to cost. I have no idea what we're going to make. So I asked for a year of strategic planning and clemency. So we don't have a 2020 season. And that is the only reason we didn't have to lay people off. Right. We kept our staff, all of us, and we have added a position of an education director. So there's a 2020 plan, which I would be happy to share with you, called Look to the Future. It's proposing that we spend the first, Q1, Q2, and probably into Q3. At the end of Q3, we want to have a new strategic plan, one that will see us in a substantial partnership, like a symbiotic partnership, and with a new home base that we can work out of, and so we're not constantly just depleting that. Well, we're not even able to build muscle memory after a certain point if we're just running around, because we hire so seasonally. So on staff right now. I am full-time as the artistic director. My director of development and communications, Wesley Fruget, is full-time and year-round. Our office administrator, who also is basically our database manager, Cameron Ruiz, is full-time and year-round. And then we have a half-time year-round director of education, that is Crystal Yingling. She's done some work with the rep and your education programs as well. And an education programs coordinator, Kyle Hartman, who was formerly our production and programs manager. So he was managing the Starfish project and the production management piece as well, with me helping him there.
Right.
So now that we're not in production, he's specifically focusing on education. Part of the R&D thing that I was very excited to do when I pitched this to the board was I want to really kick the tires on the efficacy of our education programs. Like, we say this is a career pathway. Is it? And how has it served people? And so our 2 education programs that we're running right now, and I have a very exciting one that we're about to bring in that I can't talk about on the record, but I'd be happy to talk about on the phone later. The first one is Starfish Project, which is my baby.
This is the one I love so much, because Joel and I both come from the tech side, and it's so exciting to see more of this and getting more people who traditionally haven't had access, right?
Absolutely.
Anyway, keep going. But I'm excited about this one.
So Starfish was started basically to address that. I am acutely aware as a backstage kid. I've been a member of the IATSE for the past 27 years. I started originally in New England, and there aren't a lot of unionized theaters in New England area, but there is.
Interesting.
The IATSE is actually, there weren't 27 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And I joined it by joining the union and working in film. And it wasn't to my taste, but I didn't work as a union scenic painter in theater until I moved to Seattle, because, when you're in Providence, Rhode Island, there's 2 theaters there exactly. There's Trinity Rep, which is great, but they're not a union house. Or at least they weren't, then.
I still don't think they are. Yeah.
I would be driving down to Philadelphia and painting scenery for Cisco, if they're still around. I don't know. But basically, I spent the 90s driving around the country and painting scenery in non-union shops, and sightseeing and rock climbing. But it's all to say, I was realizing from both sides of the periscope. Nope, mixed metaphor. But looking as an artistic director, and as somebody who is emerging as an artistic leader, and as somebody who's a backstage kid, like at heart, I was like, oh, I'm seeing artistic directors and season planning folks being like, oh, we're going to center this underrepresented story, right? Like, we're going to center this voice, this playwright. We're even maybe going to get a matching director for that playwright's identity, because that's the only way to do it now, right? And we're going to have a lot of actors of color, and they are going to be on the front of our season brochure. Yeah.
Right.
So that's okay. And then we've done that. I'm going to go ahead and check that box. And then I'm like, well, wait, right? Like, you're actually putting these artists in an exclusively like European descent holding jar. Like, for the most part, all of the stage crew and all of the folks that they're going to run to, and most of front of house, and that anybody who is doing an ASM internship, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be sharing identity markers with this story.
Yeah, traditionally that has not been the case. Correct. Right.
Yeah. And it's just like, so then this is what, like, when I started working with Power from the Mouths of the Occupied and Patrice Cullors, she asked me for a Black stage crew for that show. And I was like, I get it. I know exactly 2 IATSE members who identify as Black.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they both have the same skill set. So I'm like, and when I asked if I could do that with my contract, I was told no. And really? I was like, well, oh yes. This was 2016. So I was like, well, the crew doesn't exist that I want to hire to hold these stories,
Yeah.
then I'm going to have to cultivate them. So Starfish Project is a free after-school technical theater training program in South End schools. We're at Franklin High School, we're at Rainier Beach, Chief Sealth, and Cleveland.
Nice.
Yeah, and those, I'm mostly drawn to the schools that have working wood shops, of which there are only three in King County: Garfield, Franklin, and Chief Sealth.
Wow.
The wood shops are gone from everywhere else. It's mad.
Yeah.
So that's that program, and we really, we had completed 4 iterations at 4 years of it, and we wanted to check in with those graduates and be like, how likely are you to pursue a career in technical theater? Was it something you were considering before you joined up with Starfish? And how can we assist your next steps? So I have a whole, they're called in education, I'm learning, white paper on Starfish Project that my director of education has put together. And it has all sorts of quotes from all of these reconnaissance, focus groups is what educators call pizza parties. So, I was there for the pizza and the kids. So we have that, and then we also have Intiman's Emerging Artist Program, which is something that started, basically in an odd iteration in 2014. In that we had acting interns, but it wasn't called the Emerging Artist Program. And that training is specific. It's for little later career artists, but pre-professional.
I see.
It's not restricted to any age. So we've had folks in community 65 years old that want to start their acting career, which is
nice. Yeah.
And then we've also had some quite young people. Usually people have been through, at least a couple years of, they're out of high school by a couple years. It's also important to me that I'm not mixing under 21 and over 21 ever, because that can be a kind of policing that I don't care to engage in. But the emerging artists work with early career actors, directors, and stage managers. And the program has gone through different iterations. I remember 2014, they were working on we were doing Angels in America on the main stage, and they were working on the tiny Kushners, like the Tony Kushner 1X. And it was very sweet and precious. They performed it on Sound Theater's set for Noises Off, I think, in the old rehearsal studio, now known as the El Hadaf Theater.
Yeah.
It's so bonkers. Anyway, and it was precious and beautiful. And then in 2015, we incorporated them on the main stage, and then they had their breakout kind of showcase. In 16, they were tackling the work of Adrienne Kennedy, and that's the year we had the showcase in the Leo K. For that. In 17, Sarah Porkalob became our co-curator and wanted to guide the cohort through the creation of their own solo performances. So we did that and had a weekend of showcases. And we did something very similar in 2018. And it really, in 19, I was just like, we need to go back and make sure, this is at the end of 19, go back and make sure that this is, that we're tracking people, that we're still continuing to make sure that they have a clear pathway and sort of pave the road behind them, so that iterations can sort of this can become, I've gotten away from using pipeline, and I know a lot of people do use that term in education. It just has so many filthy connotations, but prison or Dakota Access,
Right.
But I would say that that making sure that we're doing what we're saying we're doing, and only the kids can tell us. Our funders can't tell us. They can be like, good job, check. You know what I mean?
I do.
They get the reporting that we give them, but it's not authentic reporting unless you're checking back in with the people that you say you're serving.
Yeah,
And
I've always found my internship. I've done a couple, and the institution itself never checks in. I mean, you form lifelong bonds with the people you're in it with. And
absolutely.
that continues. But yeah, the response back to the original institution hasn't been there. And so what have you found with your kids that you're mentoring through, are they liking theater? Are they still trying to do it?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I would even like go to pull up the white sheet, which is open on my computer over there. We've like 45% of the alumni of the Emerging Artist Program have been employed in Seattle. And oh no, wait a minute, by Intiman first.
Okay.
And then in Seattle, there's closer to 80%.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people have moved, relocated to Los Angeles or New York, and we're still in touch with many of them. But I can give you all the like factual data on this, because I hate to go up and be quoted on a bad number. But we're seeing just such strong support. So we're partnered with the Western Washington Training Trust.
Oh, nice.
Of the IATSE.
Cool.
Yeah.
So all of our instructors are union members.
That's great.
And well, it's great that the members voted to do that with some of their dues. That's what's awesome. You know what I mean? Like this did get to a vote. So every IATSE member had the opportunity to say yes or no on this, and it's never gotten a no. So we're working with a number of different areas. So we're working in we have design mentors that come in, like Robert designs a lot of the shows until there's a student that's ready to design a show. And we have a really beautiful success story there. One of our students, Adam Hayu, who has done 3 iterations at Franklin High School of Starfish Project and was accepted with a full scholarship to Cornish in lighting design.
Wow.
And
great.
he's just fantastic. One thing to highlight is that we actually, so many of our high school students are part of their household income. So many of them have after school jobs. So we actually do pay the Starfish students because that program is more well-funded, and we're funded through the Department of Neighborhoods. So it's very specific to the work that we're doing in South King County. But we do stipend the kids, because I'm just like, that's another barrier, yet another barrier, right?
Yeah.
And if someone in your household takes ill and you're the oldest child, you know what I mean? Like all your after school time and stuff is like, so we are able to do that. And this year, I should say, we are paying the emerging artists. We've structured the program. So the acting cohort is 6 actors. We're going to have designers. We're paying for like all of the lodging and all of the food. And then to your point, we're stipending the actors, close to like an SPT equity contract.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. I'm super excited about that program as well. And even to zoom out one more frame, I'm not entirely sure that the model, well, coronavirus is seen to this, but the model of the regional theater is working.
It's tough. Yeah.
And that has been my trajectory and my livelihood my entire adult life.
Yeah, mine too. I think Joel's too.
Right?
Well,
I mean, we've been swimming in parallel lanes. You too, Joel?
There and back. I sojourned in television for a while. Money took over.
Yeah, that money's too good.
But I had an in. And it was even that was questionably, okay sometimes, because sometimes it's I was freelance, so you bounce from. So some years I worked one day, some years I worked every single day. So it over a 20-year span, often. So freelance world. But so it was never like my career. So it was like I was freelance for sure. And so I went to school for theater and came back to theater. So you could probably say it's like been the goal. It should have been the goal for longer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little stint in film. I've never worked in television, and I just saw so much money wasted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean, not to say the film wasn't wonderful. I mean, I worked on Amistad. That was like my first film, and I was like, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, it's so good. But like, you know how frugal theater people are.
It's a completely different mindset. Yeah.
Like we'll just bring in our own clothes and use them for rags.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? In a shop, you just like I talk with Mo, and Mo's just like, well, we can just piece that together. We just got it. Look, this will cover the spot. You know what I mean? I mean, we're so frugal, and even with a producing budget the size of Seattle Repertory Theater, like every single person within that is doing their frugal best to spend their budgets in their lane. You know what I mean?
Every day.
I think it's important to you recognize this. It's frugal too. It's frugality. It's not cheap. It's not at all. It really is about being frugal, being about finding the best way to get what you're shooting for.
Totally.
What you have, not with saving some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question, Jen, about you said you think that the model of regional theater is not working. Do you think that that's the art or that's the funding?
Oh my God, both.
Really?
Which TED Talk do you want?
Well, I don't have a preference. I just know that there are some theaters doing some courageous things that are important and fun, and people come to that still lose a lot of money, right? So I see it more as the money thing, but yeah, I'm curious to hear either of your TED Talks.
Well, I think that my biggest issue when it comes to the art, when it comes to programming, is the box checking, is the lack of building a relationship with the community that you expect to come see the show.
Yeah.
So that has to do with a very, I think it's like a very Eurocentric, needing the gold star, needing to succeed, needing to check that box off without taking the time to build authentic relationships with the people that you want to see at the theater, and you want to be able to say and report that you have invited to the theater. I mean, just giving free tickets away does not build an unengaged audience, and I can also speak to that with our free ticket initiative for the events, which we built in a very, very different way than we have made theater in the past. So I think that and the authentic offstage storytelling, which is what I call stage craft, like the people that are holding these quick changes after somebody has just bared their pain on stage, because all of the POC plays for a long time, I think we're coming out of it, but our pain plays, you know what I mean? And it's extremely violent on the individual. How are those people being cared for in the rehearsal process?
Sure. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to have to go through this every night, it's not news for you. You're performing for a white audience that has no idea that this has been your lived experience for generations, right? So like, that's an incredible place to put an actor of color, and to have them walk off stage and not have that care continue, that's a huge misstep. And that's something that's been on my mind for years. And so that's the sort of art piece aside. Actually, I'm going to go back to the art piece. Nobody was doing the plays that Intiman was doing 4 years ago. Nobody else was doing them. And now they are.
Yeah.
And now they are. And that is awesome. Right?
Agreed.
I've seen the Reps season change. I've seen Acts season change. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Knowing that these two larger theaters can pay better than we can. Right? Yeah. What is the most ethical thing for us to do now? And so this is my huge pivot. Like, if I'm like, all right, I had Fairview, right? I had a number of these plays in my site before, maybe even before they were chosen either an actor or at the Rep. And I had to be like, are you sure you're going to do this? Because I really would like to, it took me quite a while to get the rights for Here, Taylor Mack's play, because the Rep was holding them, then Act was holding them, and then Arts West did an inquiry about it, and then I was like, okay, let's do a co-pro with Arts West. Right. That was bringing all of our audience to West Seattle, or half, or a quarter, I don't know. but so season planning is kind of a racket too. And I'm like, in good conscience, even if I know about it first, should I secure the rights to something that ultimately will be able to pay local talent better than I can? Don't know.
It's an
But I think
interesting
the
question.
answer, what you know
That's
what
a really
I mean?
interesting question. You know, yeah, because you're, I mean, that's a, if there's a moralistic quality to it, but then you have, you know, what's good for your space. You know, like.
Well, I don't have a theater, so.
Well, you know what I mean, but yeah. But that's so you let it go.
Yeah.
You can do it. You want to do it, but you let it go because somebody else can do it and pay their people a little bit better. That's actually, you know, that's a different level, right? Like that's not everybody. Not everybody takes that detailed of choice.
Well, and then what I like to do is sort of reach out and say, hey, if this I always do this with the creative room, you know what I mean? That's rehearsal, that's the production meeting, you know. If this needs support, or if you want to troubleshoot how you put this room together, because again, I'm very into trauma-informed practice. Yeah, please give a holler. I would absolutely volunteer my time to be useful in that way, you know? So that's kind of the art piece. And then I'm going to add to that most people or most theaters have some form of education program or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is where my heart is sort of leading me at Intiman. I'm going to start singing Whitney Houston. I'm just kidding. But I actually believe if we are not listening and we are not passing on our craft and we're not engaging authentically with young people and early career folks, I don't know what we can fucking expect. We're worried about our largest donors dying off and not leaving us in their will.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to cultivate the people.
Well, I mean, you have to cultivate your audience and your donor base, but you need to cultivate your makers. Enrollment is such a problem at UW, at Cornish, at Central, anywhere that has a program, because this generation that's getting ready for after high school education is hip to the fact, this is the biggest lie. Oh, third TED Talk. Hip to the lie that education is an escape from poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Arts education is not an escape from poverty.
No.
It is a guarantee.
Yeah. So now if basically your whole goal is escape from poverty, and you're in education, the arts is not going to be high on your list.
No.
Even if you love it to death, like there's a point at which where, you know, the big black cloud.
And especially if you don't have like the counterbalance of some intergenerational wealth, right? Where you can be supported. My father, when I did my professional quarter, when I was getting my master's in scenery design at University of Washington, which I finished in 2003, I did my professional quarter at in the studio of Christine Jones, who just recently got the Harry Potter Tony for her set for The Cursed
Child. Yeah, parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read them or seen them, but you know, I was out there, and my father was able to pay, to like send me, bank transfer me about $1,000 a month, and I had control. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason I could stay out there for 6 months and work for free. Well, that's not everybody's situation.
No.
You know, and that was actually, you know, so when you think about it, like how there's like awareness, like, do I even know that follow spot operator is a job? Right. Do I even know that? Maybe I figure it out in college when I was told, you know, because my parents are boomers. My parents aren't, they're older than that, but you know, my parents are boomers, and they told me I can do anything I want. So I'm going to go get a BFA in, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to first start with acting, right? And then I realized that I'm told that I have no talent, so I could be a stage manager. Well, I'm sorry, but the fucking equity stage managers I know own condos. Yeah, that's an actual job, right? Yeah. So, but the gauntlet you have to run to find that you have skill and interest in stage management is like ridiculous, right? And do you need a fine arts degree? Do you need a BFA in order to be an incredible stagehand?
Nope.
No.
So
No.
Joel and I went to school together, and we
What?
get 20 years
Where?
ago at PCPA. Shout out PCPA.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's in Santa Maria, right?
It is. Yeah.
Wow, she knew.
Ray Inkle went there too.
Yeah, Ray.
We
Eagle,
know
he was
Ray.
the-
Ray was our Ray was our
Yes.
production manager.
yeah, his
And
nickname
Michael
was
Mann.
Safety Ray.
Michael Ann Harriman.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah.
Michael Mann.
I do.
Oh.
Yeah. But she was an intern when I was in this. She did the summer program.
She was my assistant at Utah Shakes for 7 years.
Oh,
No way.
nice.
That's cool. She's great.
That's how you know Inkle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No and love.
Yeah, Joel was a year ahead of me. But PCPA is a rigorous training program, and they teach you the basics of everything. You can get a job in almost any department after you leave. But they only give you a certificate. They don't give you a bachelor's or anything like that.
Yeah.
And what that means is it's a lot cheaper, right? Because you're getting your credit through a junior college. So that's helpful. But
having to take any of the classes there, you're only doing theater.
correct. Yeah, it's a conservatory. So yeah, there's no core curriculum. Yeah.
So you can't read or write, but you could, you know, the 5 essential knots.
Yeah,
exactly.
You get theater history. That's the one book class you get. And it's not even a book class. It's a lecture class.
Yeah, it is. But that alone has gotten me jobs just by saying I went to PCPA, because people know that training, like, you don't need all the other stuff. You just need a certain amount of training.
Yeah.
And even then, go ahead.
I want you guys to come teach at Starfish.
Yeah, that would be great.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's it's hard to say no to something like that. It's got so much merit. Yeah. It's something that doesn't have, that we just don't have other than places like, it's the sort of kind of program that like Wiley and I went to school for. We went someplace for it, and PCPA is a rare little nugget that a bunch of guys built in the 70s, late 60s, 60s, I think. And they just lucked out. They got it attached to a junior college, and the state never looked at it and thought it was weird, so it just kind of like became ingrained in the system. Well, it's like, as Jack Strauss, one of the original founders, said, he's like, it's too late now. It's part of it. It's a part. They have 2 theaters built. They have a sister theater down in Solvang, and so and it's since it's intensive program. Like my description of it is, you show up on day 1, you walk around the campuses and stuff. On day 2, you make a list of your interests, what you're thinking that you're there for, and then 5 days later they hand you this calendar book.
Yeah.
And it's
for the whole year.
For the whole year, every single day of your life for the whole year is spelled out for you.
Yeah.
Every single class, lab, assignment, everything is done, and so you are locked in. You don't have to think about anything about outside world. You do theater, you go to sleep, you hang out, you have fun with your friends, but you know where you're supposed to be at all times.
That's amazing.
It's really liberating, and it's 7 days a week sometimes.
Most times, I would say.
Most times, yeah, because you have classwork during the week, lab work to build the sets and to build the costumes and to design things, and it's every single department that you can that you have to go through, and then you run the shows. So that's what expands it to seven days. You have your because shows are on weekends.
Yeah,
classes are weekdays. So it's a lot of work, and it's a serious commitment, but if you go through it and you still like theater, you are in it. Really
what is there, just because my director of education has me asking questions like this all the time, what is there, do they keep track of their alumni? They, and do they have a sense of how many folks stuck with it and are employed? I run into PCPA grads all over the country.
Their list is pretty massive. They especially focus on the actors. If you go to the website, you can see the entire list for decades and decades.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they'll even they slip a few in there that might be a little shady. Like Robin Williams. Robin Williams is probably the most famous one. He went He went to PCP either before or after he went to Juilliard, and he got kicked out of both. But they still use them on their alumni.
Yeah, there was
Well,
one in it.
So,
anybody who like dropped out, you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
still on the website, you know.
No, but it's like that. They do, because their acting program. You know, it's if you combine both years, it's 60 kids total. You know, right? 20
Wow.
or 30.
Yeah.
30, yeah. So actors is 30, and the tech one, as usual. The actors is always full, and the tech one is always anywhere from 8 kids per year to 15.
Damn.
You know,
Yeah.
so and it varies wildly. And in the combination of Wiley's and my year, I think it was 7 and 6. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
I'm gonna have to poke around in on their site and stuff. I know I visited it before, but it's really, as we're codifying our curriculum, where it's just like, here's the baseline, you know, because it's project-based learning, right? Like all of us, you know, like theater is, it's a practice, it's not philosophy, you know what I mean? Like it's not an idea about it, you know, and you only get better at it by the practice of theater. So we always try to have something that the students are working on, so that it's not it's not an after school activity, which is your 7th hour of being lectured for the day or whatever. So we tend to work, if there is a drama club already in place there, we tend to work with whatever that production is that the students have chosen in the drama club. And usually there's a drama teacher and stuff like that. That's true at Franklin. And at Rainier Beach, there's no drama program or anything, but they have this beautiful Paul Robeson Theater. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it was due for a massive overhaul. We like struck everything to the deck. We bench focused you know what I mean? Like we reran all of the speaker cables. We got rid of that weird buzz. We replaced the light board and the sound board. We taught the students how to use it. And then a group came in and they did this this one weekend of like vignette performances, and everybody got to put their skills on that. You know what I mean? And it was really, really, really beautiful to see them take possession of the space in the way, well, sometimes this can be problematic in some of our houses, but like that pride of place that you have when you know the ins and outs of a space, you know, and these kids are only there ideally for 4 years, if they don't skip or have to repeat a year, but they're there for 4 years. So they can then mentor students that are coming in and be like, oh, actually, this is how, you know. And so we've got a lot of that structure. We're working with the Robeson more like a roadhouse, you know, because there isn't a wood shop at Rainier Beach High School. There's like a table saw that I will not allow anyone to fire up. So, no. But I think
first.
always. To your other question, Wiley, about funders, I think that I know that business as usual is over. I know that philanthropy cannot make the arts relevant to a generation who are not engaged.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And philanthropy, every time I hear, it makes me cringe. The same like 5 family names, you know, there are spaces named after them. They have created, you know, Seattle Center in a big way. You know what I mean? There's so much like intergenerational wealth already in place around these arts organizations. Oh, Gene Falls. There's you know, that's there, but it's not necessarily translating to their kids or their grandkids or whatever. Like it's not a guarantee, you know, because Seattle went, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you probably know this from like your grad school work and stuff, that like we just went whoop in the 60s and 70s and 80s and like built. I mean, if you look at the history of Seattle Center as a campus for the World Trade, like if you look at any of that history, if you look at the very, very early history of Seattle Rep, which I've read like so many things that have been published on, and I'm fascinated with it because I'm just like, how do we were set up in a time of like post-war prosperity.
Right.
Yep.
And there wasn't a we're not training donors in the same way that we are training or not training artists, right? You know, and so that relationship is as old as time. And like my other TED talk is like, nonprofit is the white lady to the white man that is capitalism. Like, I'm a robber baron and I made too much money, and my wife is like now having guilt about it, so she's going to take that money and hide it in a tax shelter that helps orphans. You know what I mean? I mean, actually, it's a sock puppet. It's obviously a sock puppet show.
It should be.
Wiley, can you and I make this sock puppet show?
I would love it. Yes.
Over
yes.
Zoom. Let's get a Google Doc going, and we're going to write a script, and it's going to be amazing.
This will be great. Yeah.
And you make your capitalist robber baron, please, mutton chops.
All the way.
Yeah. I'm going to do my good white lady nonprofit. You know, it's just like the idea that the 501c3 is like hospitals, charities, schools, and the arts. It's like we shot ourselves in the foot before we got out of bed. You know what I mean? Like, so honestly, I don't know that anyone is particularly, I'm gonna get so much shade for this, but is particularly owed a living off of art making. I think that that's a lie that we've told ourselves. I've certainly told myself. I'm
still clinging on to it, so I'm not gonna let it go.
How about it?
Yeah.
We have been like especially our generation of arts leaders and makers. We came in at the tail end of that. You know, I mean, I started college in '92. Like the idea that there was a career in the arts was like unarguable after the 80s, and like, you know, that was even before all the NEA money went by.
Yeah.
You know, like there was massive municipal money for nonprofits that just does not exist anymore.
That's true.
So then we started like a stranglehold on family foundations, right? So your Schubert, your Gates, your Biller, and then we were just like, you know, and you remember how destabilizing it was when Paul Allen decided to pull all of his funding out of the arts and invest it. Gates went for malaria. I don't know what Paul Allen did, but you remember how destabilizing that was for every single resident organization at Seattle Center.
Yeah, I think he moved it to his brain institute mostly, but yes, I do remember.
Oh yeah, that's what it was, because that's when in the old Greyhound. So we're so easily destabilized.
Yeah.
When one of our grants doesn't come through, when one of our major funders decides to give to something else, or when a family foundation reinvests their money and saying like, actually, we're a California family foundation and we're going to focus on more local needs. That we had a foundation that used to fund, this was at Ensemble Theater Practice nationally, and they were like, actually, we're getting more into nutrition in this area. Like, this is what our board of our family is doing, right? Like, and I understand that it's not my money, that's your money.
Yeah,
you should give it to whoever you want to, you know. But this is what makes nonprofit leadership feel like a hamster wheel, because you're constantly, you know, it's not enough just to make the art, you know, in community.
Yeah.
And you also are constantly foraging for nuts and berries.
Yes.
And new ways. And I think it was set. I think the nonprofit model always has been set up to fail.
But when you say that you're not necessarily guaranteed or shouldn't expect to get paid for the art, that doesn't mean that the art is not worthwhile, right? That just means that the price people are willing to pay for it. What do you mean?
What I mean is that art for art's sake, I think, is canceled. And we haven't even talked about coronavirus, because literally nothing will be the same after this.
It's true.
Nothing.
I agree.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So art for art's sake of I just want to stay in my lane, do my practice. And I say this as somebody who much prefers scenery design to fundraising.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Really like doing the thing that I am quite good at this point. It's very fun for me. But it's not sustainable. Like, everybody just staying in their lane and doing the thing that they studied and they're good at, and they're going to do this thing. it really is. It perpetuates the necessity for high-paid people to be always looking for money, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if we didn't like need to be doing this, and we're, you know, it's just, I honestly think the level of engagement, focusing on centering youth voice, listening to what youth experiences right now, and engaging with them as our future period, but future donors and artists and offstage storytellers and patrons, really. But I think that there's so much inflammation and so many middlemen in that model,
Preach. Yeah.
and we can't sustain it. It is collapsing in on itself like a dark star, and coronavirus is highlighting this. It's just like, what are you doing for your community? Tell me, what are you doing? How are you relevant right now? And honestly, I'm fascinated. I hope I don't die, because I'm fascinated and I would like to continue to watch. If I have to die, that's totally fine. But I would like to continue to watch what this does to our practice, and how real, and how, like, whose hands are going to get dirty. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how this changes nonprofit, how this changes community engagement. The fact that I now know my next door neighbors, which there's a lot of turnover in that house, but because we're yelling out the window at 8 p.m. every night because we love healthcare workers, you know what I mean? Like, like how digital. I mean, like, we have had like a knee-jerk allergic reaction to digital and streaming kind of content stuff, and now everybody can't find their ass with both hands. They're like, oh, we got to put this online. It's like, well, Actors Equity will not allow me to put any of my archival video online. Also, it's not shot with 3 cameras or edited, and it's kind of a poop pile.
Or if they do, it's going to cost exponentially more because of different contracts. Yeah.
So there's something that we have just tried to preserve and held precious that has just been ripped away from us. That we're like, the precious.
And it's just how we respond.
That's the precious.
I like it.
For art's sake.
Okay. I will say thank you very much. We've gone longer than I expected, but I do have the one more thing that I know you would like to talk about. Intiman.rallybound.org. Right?
Yes. Okay. So we have our skeleton crew of I guess it's about 7 people. I always count contractors because God bless it. Our what's the best way to describe Charlene? Our accountant, who is just a ray of fucking sunshine, and is keeping us, keeping the audit and everything together, because we do an annual audit. With the skeleton crew, sort of holding together, we have a fundraising campaign that we do every spring, and it is typically called Show the Love, and we do it usually in February and sort of around Valentine's Day, and then we have like a big launch party, and then we have a big wrap party. And what it is, it's a crowdsourcing campaign where individual artists, people in the community, folks on our board set up their own site, the team captain site, and then they fundraise specifically to their folks, their community, and stuff like that. So it's a rising tide raises all ships kind of a like every $25 counts, and it's beautiful. We have alumni of the ed program that opt in to do it, and that's our spring campaign, and it usually brings in close to $80,000. It's really beautiful to see people sharing over social media, sharing the love. And this year I was like, I can't in good conscience during this viral outbreak run this campaign. Because there are so many people, there are so many artists that are in need right now, and I can't ask them, they're scrambling. I can't ask them to like sort of center us in their community as something to raise funds for. And I was like, I would feel good about moving forward with this campaign if we share 50% of the proceeds with the artists that we would have been employing at this time if we had a season.
Wow.
So anybody from the last 2 years or any alumni of our education programs can apply for an Intiman artist relief funding. We're not
Wow.
going to know how much we have to share
Yeah.
until the campaign closes. So it runs through April 11th. And we are making those, there's a page on our website, there's a link on Rallybound to apply. You do not have to fundraise to apply for funding. There are only a couple people who are doing both of those things, which is an enormous act of love. But the sort of retooling of this campaign is called Share to Love. So that you will find on our website, on Rallybound. I'm, what is it? Rallybound.intiman.jz if you want to give to my campaign, which is hype. And yeah, that's going to go through April 11th. It kicked off last Wednesday. So we're exactly midway in fundraising. And I think we're close to $10,000 out of $80,000. So
Yeah.
anybody who wants to drop some coin in there, we are going to, whatever you give us, we're going to turn around and split it with our artists.
That's awesome. I will say I looked at it like 2 days ago, and then I looked at it this morning, and it was $2,000 more, and like
What?
it's going up and up. But yeah, it's exciting. I think it's a great thing to share the love.
Yeah, share it.
Yeah. All right. Any other things you wanted to touch on?
You got most of it.
All right. Well, thanks for all your TED Talks. I really appreciate you, for one, saving this whole interview, and two, being here.
Of course.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jen. Really appreciate
Good
it.
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was our interview with Jen Zeyl of Intiman Theater. Hey, there's 3 more days to donate to Intiman's Share to Love campaign. Go check it out at intiman.org. Looking today, they're up even $3,000 more from when we last interviewed them. So people are contributing, but they got a little ways to make their goal. So if you want to help out, intiman.org, that'll help. And check out Share to Love. Thanks, Jen, for coming on. And again, thanks for recording that and saving that video. We had a technical snafu here. Hey, everybody else who's ready and excited about Tim's live tonight, well, this afternoon, yeah, 2.5 hours away, we're going to have Jeff Crosby, Darcy Carlson, and Richard Lacour. I hope I'm saying one of those ways is correct. Mason's already left. He would be able to correct me. Anyway, thanks for checking out the show. We'll be back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully, we're going to work it out so Melinda Hickey, formerly of the Tom Douglas Group, can call in. And then Friday, Matt Giles. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.